MiniMax Tinyverse is another attempt at trying to make a MOBA for people who aren't necessarily fans of the high-stakes, very micro-intensive design that we see in titles like League of Legends, Dota, and so on. And what we got here is a game that wants to be a 1v1, set in its own unique universe. And it has an interesting foundation, but I'm not sure if there's longevity here, at least for the version that I played. Please keep in mind this was played with a press key of a game that's in early access, and what you see may not represent the current version of the game. So the basic rules are, you build your quote-unquote faction from two sides. There's, I think, the side of light and the side of darkness. I'm playing as the dark group. And what this necessarily means or controls are what champions you can choose from, what units and spells, and when you have an advantage. The rounds themselves are about 6 minutes long, with a day and night cycle. Units are spawned predetermined. They're spawned basically over the course of playing, and you choose what order your units come into play with. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll notice that I have two groups of spells. The first three from left to right are universal, and they basically allow me to control and manipulate the field, such as placing down this ramp here. The other four spells are randomly chosen from the pool that I choose from when I'm building kind of my group or my army before you go into play. The champion that you choose also can be chosen from the start, and you unlock more using the game's persistence system that we'll talk about in a minute or so. To win, you have to either destroy the enemy's castle or do more damage to their side over the course of the run. Now, like we said, you do not control unit spawns at all, or even their movement or attacks. I can basically control what my champion does, including like a little taunt, but everything is taken out of your hands, similar to the creeps in a MOBA. There is no money, there are no last hit strategies, farming, etc., etc. And with that said though, the game is very easy to get into. You're not going to be dealing with too many high stakes things, and due to the cost of mana and cooldown timers, you're never going to get like the high intensive micro play that we see from a MOBA or even a real-time strategy game. With that said, I do also like kind of this aesthetics that we're kind of giant people putting things on the field to help our guys down while they're, busy fighting. Kind of has like an Indian in the cupboard feel to it. But with that said, I want to talk about the game's persistent elements and where I feel this may be what will either win fans or may drive them away. But first, a quick shout out to our Patreon backers. Thank you to our Patreon backers, and if you'd like to continue this discussion on game design, check out our Discord channel, linked down below. The persistent element of MiniMax Tinyverse happens before and after combat. You're rewarded with resources, that's that high number with the red mark next to it, after you win combat, and you also have a faction profile. Here, you're able to decide what units to take into combat, what orders they spawn in, what spells I have besides the three core ones, and my champion. Each champion has their own skills that they can use as well as different advantages. As you play through the game and raise your profile, your account level, you'll unlock the other factions or other units you can bring in, provided you have the cost to unlock them. And the game is also going for a free-to-play, but with microtransactions. I'm sure you can buy currency, and they may do stuff like having, special units or costumes, etc., maybe in the future. Again, with the game being in early access, I can't properly say that right now. But the problem that I had with MiniMax Tinyverse, I'm sorry, I'm butchering that there, is that the game itself may be a little too simplistic for its own good. Again, the different units, different spells, and different champions don't necessarily change what you're doing on each map. And with the version that I played, I think there is only one map so far. Again, it's a symmetrical field like we see in a MOBA. And while both factions have different units and their own unique abilities, again, given how limited your control is over them, it doesn't really allow for a huge variety in terms of strategies. I was trying to set stuff up like having like my archers spawn after my melee units, but again, it's kind of hard with the UI to set that up, and even then, once things go for real and you have your units being spawned in over time, it becomes harder again to set up those advanced synergies. And with the various champions, they're where you get your most direct control, but that is still very much limited compared to other games and other examples of the genre. With that said though, I do like this kind of 1v1 appeal, and if they can add more in terms of whether it's different factions or new factions, new abilities, and just kind of keep the meta from getting too stale, MiniMax Tinyverse could have, or could be that interesting take on the genre for people who may not be huge fans or enjoy the stressful, high-level competitive play that we see from it. But with that said, we're going to wrap up this first look here because, again, given how the limited take on early access, we can't go too far in. And again, for people who know me, I'm not a huge MOBA guy, so I can't really speak and experience from whether or not this is a great or poor example of it. But if you're interested in checking it out, it is available on Steam. The current version is free to play, and I think it is open to everyone at the moment, at least at the basic level. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to pitch your game for me to look at in the future, please don't hesitate to get in touch. But check back for daily discussions on game design here, and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games. Once again, this has been MiniMax Tinyverse, and I will see you all next time. If you're looking for another book about game design, be sure to check out my first title, 20 Essential Games to Study, out now. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed things, be sure to do all the liking and subscribing that the kids are doing these days. Check out our Discord channel link down below where we hang out and chat game design, and come back later tonight for our regular streamings. But that's it, and tune in for more great content here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games.